Hey, it's Chasey Poo. Today I'm going to be talking about a sort of serious topic. I'm going to try to explain what dysphoria is as much as possible for everybody to understand. People who are trans, people who are cis. I am not saying that I am the voice for the trans community. I am going to talk about my personal experiences with dysphoria, my personal definition for dysphoria, and how I interpret other people's dysphoria. Now I want you to know, some people might experience dysphoria differently. There's not one type of feeling for dysphoria that you might have. People feel different ways, and my metaphor that I've used in the past has really helped people to understand what dysphoria is, and so I'll be able to explain that to you again. For people who have never seen me before, who have no idea what this is, or who are cis and just don't understand what I'm talking about, I'm specifically talking about gender dysphoria. Dysphoria, the definition, clear-cut definition, means an unsatisfaction with life. So you can imagine what that means, gender dysphoria, right? So my metaphor, or how I try to envision it for other people, explain it so that other people can envision it. So I want you to maybe close your eyes, and I'll walk you through this. So imagine that you're at a zoo, and you're in a cage, and you're on the other, you're in the cage. So you have those bars, like those stereotypical zoo, from like movie Madagascar and stuff like that. And you can hold on to the bars, and you can see your freedom outside. And the freedom that I see is being male, and being cis, and being able to walk seamlessly through life without any doubt to who you are, or having any doubt that other people see you as who you are. And just being able to not worry about anything like that, not having to worry about being trans. So the freedom for me is being male. Now for trans women it would probably be being female. And so for me, so we're talking about trans men right now, we'll just stick it to that experience because I'm a trans guy. So I'm holding on to the bars, and I see a guy, right? So I see my freedom. I am a caged animal, and I want to rip away those bars and just be free and live. And being trans is like that. You have bars that hide. You just can't escape them, and it sucks. And you just want to be on the other side and be able to be free and be able to walk through life without questioning, and be able to look at yourself in the mirror and seeing who you are. So just imagine it. You're in that cage. You see your freedom, but on the other side there's a mirror. So at the same time, you see your freedom, I see being male. I see what it's like to be male, and that's who I am. Obviously, I see myself. But then you look at a mirror on this side and you say, oh my God, that's not who I am. I'm actually female-bodied. And people don't know that I'm trans. And people don't know that I'm male. And it hurts because people don't see you as who you are. And you're not free. And it really, really, really sucks. So that's the best that I can explain it. Now, if you really want to go into how it feels without going into all this metaphor stuff, when I was younger, I was a strange kid. I've always been the weirdo, and I've always embraced it. I always thought there was something different about me, not because I was a tomboy, but always because I would always revert back to men's clothing and men's pattern of play. And I know that society is horrible and inflicted these roles on us, but when I was a kid, I was able to play with toy cars and Barbies at the same time. The Barbies would ride the cars, like I had a lot of fun as a kid playing with all the toys, no matter what gender. So I don't think that it has to do with toys and society and stuff like that, but there was always something off. And then one night I was on YouTube, I don't even know what I was watching, and I stumbled upon this one trans person, and I swear to God, 30 seconds into that video I started crying. This is me. Everything makes sense again. And I can honestly go back to that feeling. Oh man, it was 2006. I remember, it was like December 16, 2006. I remember watching that video and just feeling like everything made sense. It was great. grade. Maybe it was November, whatever. So since the end of the year 2006, I felt like I knew who I was supposed to be, but I wasn't that person. So I would look at myself in the mirror and be so disappointed because the image of who I was in my head did not reflect back to me. And you literally feel like the skin that's on your body is crawling. And I wanted my skin to crawl off. The skin that I had on me did not match the skin that I was supposed to have. And I honestly needed to do something about it. And I hid it for a very long time. And I hid it from myself. I was like, oh, I'm totally trans. And then I told myself, oh God, no, that's disgusting. How could I ever be trans? Back then, and it sounds like, oh, in the 60s. No, but seriously, back then, 2006, I had never heard of trans kids transitioning. I was like, is that a thing? I thought people transitioned when they were older, so I thought it was disgusting for me to have feelings like that at such a young age. So I repressed everything, and honestly, this is one of the saddest things of my transition ever. I had made videos about my first experiences with coming out to myself and crying to myself on YouTube, on my first channel, and I deleted all of those. And I remember pressing on top of that delete button and going, am I gonna regret this one day? What if I'm actually trans and I'm gonna wanna go back to these videos when I'm older? And I said, I can't fucking do this anymore, I'm not trans, this is disgusting. And I deleted them. And to this day, man, I knew it was a decision that I regret, and I regret it now. And I'm always one of those people that's like, never regret a decision that you made because that's what you wanted at the time. That's not what I wanted at the time. I definitely regret that decision. So after a couple of months of, you know, back and forth, I finally just said, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep playing games with my heart and my body and my soul and my mind. I need to just be me. So I came out to myself, and I kept it hidden for a very long time. I made YouTube videos about it, and I told myself I'm gonna wait until after I graduate high school. So I waited, and that wait was horrendous. It felt like I was dying inside. I bought myself 12 trans books. I bought myself a binder. I bought myself a packer, just so I could feel like I was close to the community that I knew I wasn't a part of yet. Which is a lie. I was a part of the community, I just didn't know it. There was nobody back then. There was 2 trans YouTubers, like 2 or 3, like it was ridiculous. So after high school, I was like, okay, time to go to therapy. So I went to therapy, started telling my friends. They were super happy for me. And taking that first step of calling the therapist, you ever have anxiety over the phone? Yeah, so I called, the person answered, and I hung up. I was like, no. And then I called again and I made an appointment. But having that first gender appointment, the hate that I had for my body, because it wasn't the body that I was supposed to be living in, diminished a bit because I knew I was getting closer to my goal. So you could only imagine being in that cage and one of the bars disappearing. So you have your shoulder out of that cage and you could kind of reach slowly. You have a taste of what it might look like, and it feels fucking awesome. You literally feel like your skin is slowly starting to be owned by its owner. And that's probably one of the best feelings in the world. So skip to, a couple of years later, we're talking now 2010 is when I got my prescription for hormones. And that for me was a moment. I started to go on hormones, and that first injection, you don't feel anything, obviously, like the changes don't start right away, but they do in your mind. And that for me was amazing, knowing that soon I would finally be seen for who I've always been my entire life. I started hormones when I was 19, so you could only imagine from 15 to 19, 4 years of not I don't hate myself. Being trans and having dysphoria doesn't mean that you have to hate yourself. It's just the body that you have isn't yours, so what else are you supposed to do? There's no other word to express. Like, you literally want to crawl out of your skin. And that's how I felt for 4 years until I started T. And starting T was not a magical cure, and it isn't a magical cure. Not everybody in the trans community goes on hormones. Not everybody in the trans community has surgery, anything like that. It's everybody has their own transition and their own path. And for the longest time, I didn't think that I needed top surgery. I was fine with my chest because I had started hormones, and another bar had latched itself on, and then another one, and another one. So I was almost there. Honestly, I felt like I was out of that cage. I looked at myself in the mirror and it was fine, until I realized that I wasn't. And the chest dysphoria that I felt, it's not like I hate my boobs, I'm gonna cut them off. It's not like, oh, I hate them because they're women's. It's nothing like that. It literally, this is the strongest memory that I have from being a kid. I remember wearing t-shirts and feeling great, and then when I hit puberty and I started growing boobs when I was like 11, I started growing boobs because I was chubby back then. Like it makes me want to cry. Like, I'm not gonna cry, but I'm just saying, like, it felt like my whole life was a lie. My aunt made me get a bra, and that was the most uncomfortable thing in my entire life. I felt like I was suffocating, and yeah, like, girls don't want to wear bra, and they just want to, you know, be themselves. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like a hatred for my body, but it was. Like, I just couldn't do it, and I needed to see, you know, I need to understand, am I always gonna have boobs? And then they grew, and then they grew, and then they grew. And then in high school, they used to call me sumo tits. And these were my friends that called me sumo tits, and it was all a joke and stuff like that. But can you imagine how I felt having my friends call me sumo tits and me being, me being trans? Even though I didn't tell them, they didn't know, but, you know, obviously. Whew. So that sucks. So yeah, then I had top surgery, and I'm gonna tell you that I'm out of that cage, and it feels great, and I see myself in the mirror, and I'm myself. I'm finally the me that I've always been. And as corny as that sounds, I'm literally tearing up right now, because I can never describe to you the feeling of finally seeing yourself as who you are. And I honestly feel like I'm like rubbing it into people who can't transition right now, who are not there yet, or who don't feel like that. And I'm not. I was asked by a couple of people to make a video about what dysphoria is and your experiences with it. So that for me is really, really how it felt. And now that I look at myself in the mirror, I don't feel like I have to worry about anything. I feel like I just put on my clothes and whatever. I do still have some dysphoria relating to my bottom area. I might be getting some type of small bottom surgery in the near future. But I do pack, and that really helps my dysphoria, because I feel like something's there, and it feels fantastic. So that's it. This is a very long video about what dysphoria is, and honestly, one of the biggest myths of dysphoria and being trans is that you have to hate your body. Look at me in the eye. You don't have to hate your body to be trans. You don't have to hate your body to have dysphoria. Dysphoria and hatred towards your body it's completely different. You can hate your body and say that it's dysphoria, that's fine, but you don't have to. Like I don't hate my genitals, but I have dysphoria with them because I know that it's not there. I've grown to accept that that's my body, but that doesn't mean that I don't want it there. That doesn't mean that I have a little bit of hate towards it, but I don't hate myself for it. So that's all I had to say. If you have any questions about dysphoria, if you want me to make another video, anything like that, please let me know. And I really, really hope that this helped anybody to explain what dysphoria is. I hope you have a great week.